Okay, so let's just start this video off by saying that this is not a video attacking race or women of color. Despite what certain people want you to believe, this is a commentary. I am free to have my own opinion and hunches based off of the information I have been given. If you have a problem with it, you may kindly leave or tell me what you think as a civilized person. So here we are, another day in 2020 where commentary channels are under attack left and right, whether it be YouTube protecting pedophiles like MiniLad, someone being offended by one edgy joke that has nothing to do with them, or a black woman wanting to make a change in the gaming community by saying that people of color, more specifically women of color, are not being represented enough because the gaming industry is racist, and if anyone disagrees, you two are either racist, misogynistic, or, if you're a person of color, an enabler to the problem. Today we'll be discussing the far latter, and we'll take a look at the situation between the commentary community, the gaming industry, and the only NNESaga. Oops, my bad. It would appear that I simply didn't give a flying fuck to care about the quote-unquote clout her name would bring me, so I just winged it. Honestly, sounds better in my opinion. So if you guys are wondering what exactly this woman has done, look no further than here. Big Birdie here went on a podcast hosted by Inside Gaming with a friend named Zombie Kills. These two were supposed to talk about why console makers need to support people of color. What they ended up doing was slandering it, saying that the entire industry is racist towards women of color, targeting only a fraction of the topic. These two proceeded to say that Sony in particular are run by racist white men. Let your head try to wrap around the fact that an Asian company in Japan is white male dominant. Doesn't make any fucking sense to me. On top of that, Saga doubles down that Sony is racist because they had a BLM banner and that they prioritized Spider-Man Miles Morales as their launch title. Essentially saying that it's not doing anything for anyone. Question. Actually, I have a fucking couple of questions. Wasn't she the one that came out and said that the game was Game of the Year, period? Is Sony really not supporting the BLM message by showcasing a strong black character as a lead to an IP they've tried to take care of for 21 years? Is them throwing in BLM messages inside Spider-Man Miles Morales not good enough to show how strongly they are pushing that specific political agenda, whether it's wanted or not? Oh, what's this? Now it's just because they don't get rid of racists in game chats? Well, I guess you could have led up with that and built a case. Have you tried the report button? Given the past couple days, you sure do know how to do that. If you couldn't tell, I'm very nitpicky about details, which is something you always seem to lack for some reason. You target the companies for something that the players did. How do you know they didn't just give them the boot after you reported? Did the company personally tell you to fuck off because you're black? Clearly not, because you're partnered with them. So why are you bashing them? Also, another thing, know the distinction between a racist and the group that shares that racist skin tone. You're about to see why I say that in a bit. Now we move on to the meat and potatoes. Why this drama between her and the commentary community exists. She passive-aggressively demanded a PS5 and Xbox Series X. Her reasoning, because she's a woman of color and she agrees with her friend Zombie Kills, that more black women need to get their hands on free consoles than men. Specifically, again, white men. Their words, not mine. As you can see, this is pretty racist in itself, screaming for equity, but wanting a group to have less in order for another to have more. You could chalk it up to white privilege, and it should be lowered, which in one way I'll agree. However, they act as though that attacking companies and ethnic groups to get free stuff, which is essentially what they did because they downplayed a race, gender, and industry whilst asking for their review units, isn't some form of privilege in itself. I'd say it's a pretty toxic mindset that for BLM activists they shouldn't be having. which leads me to believe that they are not real activists at all. There are people who abuse the BLM message just to advance their own agenda, and people will easily fall for it because they only have to act nice and like victims. This brings me to a commentary channel named Griffin Gaming, who I've been subbed to for about 2 years now. He did a video reacting to the podcast and stating that they do in fact play the race and gender card as a defense as to why they should be represented more. Which again, in my opinion, represents some sort of privileged mindset. To nobody's surprise, Griffin gained a lot of support to his claims from men and women of multidiversities. I know, I've talked to them in calls. However, when NNESaga and Zombie heard that a video was made criticizing them, they immediately did something that just proves that they aren't about the BLM message. They called Griffin, anyone who agreed with him, and all of his supporters, racist white supremacists. She proceeded to claim that people need to mass flag him, which they did, which is against YouTube TOS, on and off the platform. She then said we all need to stay out of black people's business. You allowed your business to be posted to the public willingly. You have no private business. Hell, it's not even just black folks' business. The host was fucking white. Okay. I need to say this. Breaking away from the script. Everyone get ready for a fucking lesson. Don't care if you get offended. This is how the world actually is. You were discussing racism. The moment you discuss that publicly, it's everybody's business because you can't separate what is and is not racist. You are pushing a false activist move that is very common. Not letting people feel involved in your message while also bashing them for something you're telling them not to bother with at all because they're not black. Not only is anyone who isn't black not able to support the message, but you yourself are refusing to support the message. Thus meaning that in the end of the day, no lives matter. This is honestly why people, and yes, even a shit ton of black people, I've seen it with my own fucking eyes, they've said it with their own mouths, can't seem to believe that BLM is as valuable as a message as it should be. Because people like you suppress the progress. It's not equity, especially if you say you only prioritize a certain race over a goddamn computer screen, which is why it's not real activism. God damn. Moving on. After Griffin started getting mass flagged, he personally took down his video thinking YouTube wouldn't be able to help him with the appeal if he were to try to appeal it. Saga proceeded to send more people to report his channel to either get it taken down or demonetized as a way to quote-unquote defund racism. Regardless of the fact he didn't once say anything racist, because the point of his video was criticizing her for using their race and gender card instead of getting a review unit the normal way, and that was actually having a popular audience. Which, by the way, we have to discuss this. The fact she says that if she's so irrelevant, why do people talk about her repeatedly? Why are trolls continuously going after her if she's so fucking irrelevant? Saga, whether you like it or not, you're too irrelevant to get a review unit. Before you even got those consoles, your reviews last month, your fucking views, last month, we're pulling an average of 463 out of your 4.26 thousand subs. The month before was only slightly higher. Your sub count is dead. The only reason why you got the view count you did this month is because someone else reviewed you. You did a PS5 giveaway, which doesn't even give you active subs, just kids wanting to cop a PS5 for one time only. And because you got the consoles early, even putting that last part in your titles. You honestly do not have the clout required at all. Oh, but her Twitch! Yeah, no. That means nothing when the review goes up on YouTube, and that's the source of the game company's exposure. So they look at your YouTube numbers, and it doesn't even seem right to give a console to someone averaging 400 to 600 views a month. Which makes me believe even more that they only gave you the console that you wanted because you were passive-aggressively demanding it with your goddamn "I'm a black woman, represent me," or your racist bullshit. Finally, I want to discuss the other content creators who were small and got the most hate in this situation. All their links will be down in the description. Starting off with my boy, Chad Sinclair, who only reported on the news that was going on. He shared his opinion and looked on the situation as passively as anyone could, and said what Saga was doing was against Twitter, YouTube, and even Twitch's TOS policies. Saga simply called him a racist and sent her followers after him. He took his video down a little after the fact. Saga's response to this was to say, "Keep going, report his channel and Twitter for being racist, also he bashed us." Which he didn't do. I saw. At this point, she's sending gullible fools to report without actually seeing the real context of the situation. To all of them that did do that to him, and the others, by the way, go fuck yourself. Seriously. Grow a brain, watch the shit, make sure you're not being misled. Simple as that. Oh wait, you're too dependent for clout. Since then though, I've talked to him about that, and he shouldn't be afraid to keep up any other further videos on her, which I can see he's doing pretty well at. Keep up the good work, my man. You're doing great. Next one up to bat is Raven Crossing. He simply put out a video discussing that he was appalled by the situation with Griffin, as this Brit clearly doesn't understand that in America we have the freedom of press and speech, meaning that we can commentate our thoughts and opinions on YouTube's platform. He also discussed that he hated the fact that she was abusing a flawed system when it comes to the harassment and bullying rules on YouTube's TOS policies. Now, since then, NNESaga, whatever the fuck, has done the same play she did with Chad and Griffin, try to get into an ethnic conflict, hashtag race war, guys, just because she couldn't handle an opinion. Raven asked for her to reach out to him so he could get her idea of what's going on unfiltered in a stream, but she just ruined that and attacked him again without seeing his second video. Last but not least, we have DKJ, someone who supported her message, but was critical in how she could have said things better to avoid a misunderstanding. I honestly feel bad for this man, because this is when Saga actually breaks fucking laws. Caught on stream, he gets a phone call from her out of nowhere, in which he put her on speakerphone. Not once did he give out his number to her. Either she told someone to dox him, or she herself doxed him. He would be told that if he wanted to build a bridge between both sides, so that way there wasn't a misunderstanding, that he should have went to her, so that way he could have a more biased point of view rather than his own perspective. She would proceed to threaten him, saying, "If this was 2009, I'd come to your house and beat you up. I was honestly tempted to do that last night." Which essentially translates to, "Hey, I have your number and your address. Fear me, for I am always right, even when I'm wrong." When called out for her threat, she said it wasn't a threat, it was just trying to protect her stance, to protect her BLM stance for women of color, which is bullshit. DK, if you're watching this, I'm sorry this happened to you. Nobody should have to go through this. On behalf of me and the rest of the commentary community, you're a good person, and you did handle this situation well, and we thank you for trying to build an understanding between people, but sometimes people aren't so understanding and they're just hard-headed. But anyways, as you all can see, this fake activist really is a piece of work. Her clout will die in a couple weeks to a month, I'm guessing. She doesn't seem to be representing Sony or Microsoft well, so who knows if they'll actually cut her from their partnership programs in the future. Hell, she doesn't even represent the gaming community well, let alone her own people of color and gender. She keeps addressing everyone who calls out her with reports, except, surprisingly, black women who call her out. She actually ignores them like they didn't say anything. Guess if you're a black woman who disagrees with her, you aren't a person. How's that for representing women of color?